Ever wondered what happens when it passes on when it comes to your wealth? Now, let's take a Tsepo here. Tsepo is someone who built huge property portfolio. It could be worth millions and millions. And it happens that they actually built that particular wealth in their name. Tsepo here has life policies, has pension funds, has provident funds, and he listened to Shile Boy. He invested in shares, he invested in financial instruments, and for that matter has other assets, you name them. But the question of the matter is, what happens to that wealth? What are the tax implications of that particular wealth? What other costs are going to be considered when Tsepo passes on? I'm sorry, Tsepo, to have killed you, but it's an example. Okay, now let's take a scenario. In that case, the biggest cost that is going to happen to the wealth of the deceased is that an executor who's appointed to wind up this estate. Let's say I appointed the executor, Shile Boys and my executor, to wind up this estate. Then it means I'll be entitled to a certain percentage of the gross value of the estate. So if you have been investing in properties and you've got estate that worth about 10 million, 15 million, then we're going to say in the prescribed rate, which is about 3.5% plus VAT, that comes to me as the executor for my fees to wind up this estate, right? Now let's take 3.5% times whatever, 115%, you get the percentage that I'm going to be charging. Now, then there's also issue of capital gain tax potentially. Of course, there are rules of exemptions and deductions that are in there. Let's avoid technical. Let's say I'm not married, right? Where I can bequeath things to my wife and then get rollover tax benefits. It means that I'll be deemed to have sold all my assets that in my name. Now, which means that potentially I could find myself having to pay this huge capital gain tax liability. And that could be heavy, heavy, heavy tax liability, right? That's already, it's a capital gain tax liability. Because my estate is so rich, I've been listening to property investors podcasts, I've been attending estate planning, wealth planning with Shile Boy. I've been listening to I'm part of the WhatsApp group Inspired, and I'm investing on a regular basis, and I'm building this huge property, student accommodation, Airbnb, and then I build this huge portfolio. So potentially, you could find yourself paying what you call an estate duty. An estate duty is a tax that you're going to be paying out of what you call dutiable amount. Dutiable amount is we're going to take the value of your assets and minus other deduction. Deduction could be liabilities, could be in some cases anything that you bequeath your wives and the claims, all those type of things against your estate. Let's assume you've been living a very clean life, you paid up some of your properties, you've been reducing your loan to value. You say, listen, Shile Boy, I want to optimize my property portfolio, therefore I'm reducing all these things. Then you've got less liabilities. And then you've got amount, what you call dutiable amount. That dutiable amount is the one that you're going to apply a percentage of an estate duty, which is about 20%, anything below 30 million. That's quite a lot. So it means 20% of that money is gone. It's gone, guys. Anything above 30 million is going to be taxed at 25%. So effectively, over 38% could easily disappears as a result of that, because it's 20% plus effective tax rate of capital gain. You're looking at about 18% somewhere there of the capital gain that you're going to be paying, because you would have been deemed to have sold those assets. When someone passes on, that person is considered to have sold the assets that they're in their names, right? So already, can you see how much of wealth you already disappeared, including the executor's fee? I haven't even included the transferring fees that you're going to have to pay these attorneys to move these assets into your beneficiaries, whether it's trust, whether it's the kids or your wife. Those are the costs that you still have to pay. You still have to pay the appraisers' fees, those who come and evaluate these assets. It's going to be very expensive, right? So these are some of the things that you need to be mindful of when you are building wealth in your name. It might not worth it to be building this. That's why sometimes we consider things like trust. That's why we consider things that has nothing to do with us, so that when you pass on, these deathbed expenses are actually not in our names. So I'm just highlighting these things so that you guys are aware of these things. But if you need further guidance and you want to sit down with me, you're more than welcome to reach out to me. My details are on my profile. Reach out to me. Let's have a discussion. Let's unpack your situation, because it's not always the trust that can be a solution. Other people involve other strategies where can resolve these deathbed expenses, and you're more than welcome to reach out to me. Let's have that conversation. Okay, good luck.